Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. Normally I spend some time giving you context about the subject at hand, but that wouldn't be very flavorful for this archetype. You know this theme just came out, and you know I love TCG Exclusive archetypes, but all the racers are heading to the starting line, so we don't really have time for that if we want to take first place. Strap in, suit up, and get ready to put the pedal to the metal. It's time to go for the gold with Gold Pride. Today's episode is brought to you by my lovely patrons and the fine people over at Dragon Shield. If you want to protect your cards with the strongest scales on the market that even come with their own lore while supporting the channel, use my affiliate link in the description. So what's the deal with Gold Pride? Well, you're not going to be finding any unifying types, attributes, levels, battle stats, serial numbers, or dates of birth. Like for hire, they stuck every type and attribute they could get their grubby little mitts on, threw them in a blender, and hit puree. Mechanically, the only through line is that the main deck monsters can be special summoned from the hand as an activated effect if your life points are lower than your opponent's, and the extra deck monsters all return to the extra deck during the end of a turn that you used their primary effect, floating into a base version of themselves from the deck or grave, and their primary effects gain an additional effect if your life points are lower than your opponent. It's a strange hodgepodge of effects and conditions that don't really seem like they go together, but are tied up in a really clever way. Gold Pride is, presumably the name of, a no-holds-barred, zero-regulation race where the vehicles are strange and the weapons are stranger, which combines the eclectic mix of characteristics as a group of varied racers and the come-from-behind underdog aesthetic of racing culture. It also means that, as a community, we get to reference wacky racers and Steel Ball Run, which I'm certainly not complaining about. So, let's get started with our first contestant, Gold Pride Captain Carry, a level 3 Water Fiend monster with 900 attack and 1700 defense, and if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Gold Pride trap card from your deck to your hand. And if this card is sent to the grave, you can target a Gold Pride monster you control that was special summoned from the extra deck. On resolution, you banish up to 3 Gold Pride cards from your grave, and if you do, that monster gains a permanent 500 attack boost for each card banished this way. It being permanent doesn't mean as much when your extra deck monsters will frequently blink out of existence, but gaining up to 1500 attack points can be a game changer. It'll most likely rob you of all the Gold Pride cards in your grave since we have so few, but future releases will inherently take care of that since there'll, be more cards. This makes Carry the ideal piece of material for all your extra deck summons to give them a little extra gas, as well as adding you a card. There's only one option at time of recording, but I'm sure that'll get better as new cards get released. And if they don't, I'm sure Carry will be more than happy to pirate them from other themes. Gold Pride Leon is a level 3 Wind Warrior Tuner monster with 1500 attack and 1200 defense, and if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target a non-warrior Gold Pride monster in your grave and special summon it. And also, you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Gold Pride monsters. And during your opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, you can, immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon a synchro monster, using only Gold Pride monsters you control as material. If Carry is the ideal material for your extra deck summons, Leon is the ideal enabler, getting you the free material you need to access your extra deck on the cheap and during either player's turn. And while the extra deck summoning restriction applies on your turn, it certainly doesn't on your opponent's. And while you can only use Gold Pride monsters as material using that effect, you can make any synchro you want, provided they're either level 6 or 11 at time of recording. 9 if you count our own on-theme synchro, but I don't. You can get a draw off of Stardust Charge Warrior, hand rip your opponent with Desert Locust before sinking into another monster, Metaphys Horus to negate a card effect, or Psychic End Punisher, a card that already benefits you from having lower life points than your opponent, so that fits right in. Leon is a highly versatile monster that can lead to a lot of plays, and that's not even including the eventual rank 3 Gold Pride Xyz monster. Talk about horsepower. Gold Pride Nitro Head is a level 8 Fire Pyro monster with 2300 attack and 2600 defense, and during your opponent's standby phase, you can special summon a Nitro token to your opponent's field, which is a level 8 Fire Pyro monster with 0 attack and defense, but it cannot be used as link material. And during your opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, you can target a Nitro token on the field and destroy that token, as well as all cards in its adjacent monster zones and spell and trap zones. So while it's optimal for you to have lower life points to summon your other Gold Prides, though not necessary, for Nitro Head, yeah, it kinda is. The effect is a little strange. Giving your opponent a free card is always a risk, but thankfully it's not all bad. Like it already says on the tin, it can't be used as link material, and as a token, it's already precluded as being Xyz material. I doubt many people are going to fuse or tribute with this, so that only leaves synchro summoning, and if your opponent lands a tuner on the field, then you can just pop the token and act like it was never there. Maybe take a card or two along for the ride. And speaking of the pop effect, it does kind of put your opponent in a sticky situation. If you occupy one extra monster zone, you can place the token underneath the other one on your opponent's side of the field. So if they ever commit a card to that zone, you can just pull the trigger on the token destruction effect and take care of both of them. And that's just what you can do if your opponent has an empty board. If they have an established layout, you can plant this token in a very inconvenient spot, either to block certain kinds of summons or to deal with as many cards as possible. Since most players nowadays will set their cards up in a way to avoid forming Mech Knight columns, they'll sometimes end up staggering their placements, meaning Nitro Head can make quick work of them if they're bunched together. This card is actually pretty sweet, and the fact that you can do this then sync for a level 11 monster with Leon afterwards is phenomenal. And I've gotta say, their vehicle looks like it's top of the line, very cutting edge technology here. I guess that's the benefits of being sponsored by Discord money. Alright, next up, our extra deck monsters. First up is Gold Pride Star Leon, a level 6 Light Thunder Synchro monster with 2000 attack and defense, requiring generic material. During any main phase, as a quick effect, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and this card gains attack equal to the target's original attack. Then if your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can destroy that monster. And once per turn, during the end phase, if the previous effect was activated this turn, return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon a Gold Pride Leon from your deck or grave. This will, in turn, trigger base Leon's effect, getting you back Captain Carry, so you can sync for Star Leon again next chance you get. This is a monster that was built to crush life points, no doubt about it. Its effect is basically an honest that can pop the target, meaning you deal even more than a direct attack's worth of damage. And if you made this using Carry, then off-brand Risky Boots here can Risky Boost Star Leon by up to 1500 more points. It's not going to OTK by itself anytime soon, it's no Boral Sword Dragon, but if your opponent has paid a hefty chunk of life points, they better watch out. Also, don't think I didn't notice that Star Leon is now carrying Captain Carry. Y'all must think you're so funny. Gold Pride Nitro Blaster is a Link 2 Dark Pyro monster with 2300 attack, requiring 2 Gold Pride monsters with different levels as material. It can target a monster your opponent controls, destroy it, then if your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can destroy all cards in its adjacent monster zones and spell and trap zones. And like Star Leon, Nitro Blaster returns to the extra deck during the end phase of a turn its primary effect was activated, summoning a Nitro Head from your deck or grave. Sadly, this doesn't refund your entire order like how Leon does, but Blaster opens up a lot of destructive capabilities. By being aggressive with Nitro Blaster, you can pave the way for a big push. And if your opponent is still up after that, you can swap Blaster for Nitro Head, which can set up a token and destroy more cards on your opponent's turn. I don't know if this dude is like the Dick Dastardly of the Gold Pride race, but no matter what, you can tell they're having a blast. And next up we have our spells and traps. Spell and trap rather. Gold Pride The Crowd Goes Wild is a normal spell card that has you revealing a Gold Pride monster in your hand to add a Gold Pride monster with a different name from your deck to your hand. Then you apply the following effect. Special summon a Gold Pride monster from your hand, but lose life points equal to its original attack. This is easily your best starter. As long as you have a single Gold Pride card in hand along with this, you can tutor any other one, summon it, lose life points, then potentially summon the other out of your hand, depending on if that life loss put you under your opponent's. And because we're only in the first wave of this archetype support, this is bound to get much better once we get a second wave, giving us access to even more plays via more monsters. Heck, we might even get a spell searcher to complement Captain Carry so we can access this more consistently, because you definitely want to be playing this at max copies. I mean, it even says it right in the name. Three's a crowd. Gold Pride Start Your Engines is a normal trap card, and if your opponent normal or special summons any number of monsters, target one of those monsters, reveal 3 Gold Pride monsters from your deck, your opponent randomly picks one for you to special summon, shuffle the rest into your deck, then destroy the targeted monster. Yeah, it's removal that gets you a monster. This is so wild. It is dependent on your opponent summoning a monster, so proactive removal can make this a non-issue for them, but unless that opponent is maining MST or Twin Twisters or Night Beam, your opponent's generally going to be committing monsters to the board before they can get their removal. 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to be summoning Leon with this, as long as you have a choice, because that will reborn a monster, which you can then quick sync to mess with your opponent even more. Talk about your explosive starts. Alright, so that's all the Gold Pride cards, but what do we do with them? Well, we're not playing the hyperdrive deck to take it slow. We want to burn our fuel and use it to clear the finish line in record time, destroying cards and making big monsters to secure first place. But what can we play to help them out? Well, in keeping with the low life point theming, punks make for an excellent addition. Since Star Leon requires only generic material, the punks make excellent tuners to summon it, which in turn can then get you to base Leon once Star returns to the extra deck. And their penchant for paying life points not only helps get under your opponent so you get your bonus effects and summons, it also nabs you some needed control cards to slow your opponent down if need be. Punks are also an archetype known for their level 3 and 8 monsters, very serendipitous, which not only means that emergency teleport is a fantastic way of getting your punks into play, it also gives you access to Amazing Dragon. While it can be made regardless of if we run the main deck punks, it only bounces based on the number of level 3 psychics we have in our grave, and having an interrupt tool like this when forced to go first is a necessity. And let's not forget that their field spell, Jam Extreme Session, is a wealth of card draw all on its own. Dinomorphia is also a great option since they love to have as low a life point total as possible. This opens up the possibility of running more counter traps to keep your plays insulated, while Rexsturm can lock down your opponent's effects to keep them from taking the lead. This also means you can make use of Road for Escape as a Hail Mary in terms of card draw. Even at its worst, it's Jar of Greed, with a ceiling that would make even deep draw Exodia pilots cry. It's also hard not to recommend Small World, especially in the punk builds. We've got a ton of level 3s with diverse types, attributes, and battle stats, which means the perfect play starter is only an S-Force away, though I hate to admit that we're taking assistance from a cop. Kaijus also make another appearance in this section, and for good reason. On top of why you'd already want to play them, polymorphing dangerous monsters into big harmless vanillas, some of them are level 8s, meaning you can potentially summon them to your side of the field to fit your playstyle. Not to mention that they can guarantee a huge attack boost for Star Leon. Thankfully, Lava Golem is also a fantastic pick. We don't necessarily need our normal summon in this theme, and at time of recording, outs to Double Shangri-Ira are at a premium. As for a silly tech pick, how about Different Dimension Reincarnation? With Carry banishing your cards, it's going to be tough keeping up your resources, but you can always turn drawbacks into benefits with a little bit of clever thinking. Banish monsters with Carry for the boost, and now you can resummon them with DDR so you can get another Carry Search, Leon Revive, or just put Nitro on board for some big plays. And that's all I have to say about Gold Pride. I can't wait to see what these themes do with another wave of support, because while it lacks a lot of the resilience and power of current meta threats, it's certainly cooking something. But as a TCG exclusive archetype, I'd be lying if I said we haven't seen this cycle before, of exciting potential falling to mediocrity. So will Gold Pride be the new format warping Burning Abyss, or the next disappointingly lackluster mutant? Only time will tell, but the one thing for certain is that the race isn't over till it's over. And given what we've seen so far, I'm sure Gold Pride will take the gold medal. But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Are Gold Pride about to ride a slipstream to clinch a come-from-behind victory, or are they destined to crash and burn? And which driver is your favorite? I'm certainly here for Captain Carey's Little Fish cohorts. I love them. And while you're down there, make sure you like and subscribe so we can make that 50k Akiza Explained special a reality, ring that bell so you don't miss an episode, and share this video with someone you know who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! It really does a lot to help me out. Today's episode was brought to you in part by Dragon Shield. When you want to protect your cards with the power of dragon scales, get some sweet lore for them, and support the channel, check out my link in the description to get started. This video was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commander Green Knight, Nebula Navigator's 3rd Dynasty, Adam Zajdel, Andrew Newman, Avi Chali, Kane Senpai, Cameron Berg, Chibi Gohan, Colin Todd, Eric, Frankie, Genesis Yu-Gi-Oh!, Gloomba331, Great Big Pillock, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Howling Zangetsu, Ironic, Iskander711, Jester Designs, John Manji, Julia Sneezer, Mana Charge, Marluxia Zagirl, Meteornus, Mighty Action X, Panther J, Rebel King Lucifer, Rem T Bright, RJ the Jank Monarch, Ruxith Sarani, Sammy Haim, Sophie, apparently, the Fresh Prince of Conair, the Charizard Flame, the Wizard Moose and Xander Wolfensberger, Cosmic Crusaders Ariel Kersey, Bear Sharktopus Studios, Chaz Ghost, Chris Kessler, Corbynisms, Danny Bound, Drachenwald, Emony, Eva Padilla, Evan Socks, Haro, Herbal D, Jesus Garcia, Kale the Dragon, Carp, King Scarlet Yu-Gi-Oh!, Lord Whoop-De-Doo, Manga Pages, Marion James E. Picata, Matt Simmons, Nitromo, Put a Card Trooper Up My Ass, called that Card Trooper an ass sandwich, but Noah Gent calls it lunch, I vote for Ophion to be banned, Shooting Star 3300, Star-Lord 777, Super Purd, the legendary Raven and Tucker Ordorn, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. I'm only able to continue doing this thanks to the support of these lovely people. So if you'd like to help support the channel, get your name in these credits, and get my videos earlier than anyone else, make sure to check out my link down in the description for my Patreon to see if I have anything you'd like on offer. And if you want to hear me talk about another eccentric gathering of charismatic characters, check out this video I made covering Fur Hire. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.